Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Understanding Your Customers with Facebook Page Insights. My name's Dante. I'll be taking you through today with our presentation. And look, there's going to be a bit of stuff that comes in and out as we're going. I've got a bit of a NBN connection problem here at home today, so hopefully we'll be able to get through that without too much trouble. We're going to chat about what Page Insights are and how you can use insights to increase the engagement on your Facebook page. But before we begin, I'd probably like to get an idea in the chat if you've ever looked at your page Facebook insights ever before. So let me know in the chat if you've never ever looked at your Facebook page insights before, just so we can get an idea of kind of where everyone's at with this one, to see, you know, whether I'm talking to people who've never seen it or whether we've seen a few people who've gone, yeah, I've kind of sort of had a bit of a wade through there. I've dipped my toe in and at least got started with it. Got G who's saying never looked at it. Coral says yes, but I don't really understand them. That's probably a good place to start. That's why you're here today, I'm guessing. Also, if you are someone who actively uses Page Insights, so you're someone who does understand them quite well and what the information means, just give me a quick little message in the chat window as well. Alexandra's saying she's done a little, but yeah, if you're like an absolute pro, you're probably in the wrong, the wrong webinar, because you probably know just as much as I'm going to do. My role with Facebook's community training network is to work with Facebook to bring training to businesses right around Australia. Now, you might have joined some of my other webinars I've done with Business Station, and they're also one of our co-presenters today. Business Station in Western Australia, Regional Development Australia in Queensland, and we've got Treaty Business Consulting in the Northern Territory where I am. It's the flag you can see behind me. Not proud at all, am I? So we'll get started. The agenda that we're going to get under today is we're going to look at what Page Insights are. We're going to look at how you access those insights. So how do you get in and actually start playing with them? How to understand and make sense of your page insights. I think that's what a couple of people have kind of, yeah, they've indicated that, yeah, they know what they are. They just want to kind of make sense of what they are. So that'll be our next thing as well. And also how to utilize those insights to get a little bit more out of them. So to be able to, you know, make some better decisions about what you're doing on Facebook and Instagram to a degree as well, based on the information that's in there. At the end of the session, we want you to be able to walk away with a bit of an understanding of how you can use your page insights to make those decisions. So I guess the big question is, what exactly are these page insights? If anyone's ever heard of Google Analytics, this is kind of like the Facebook version of that, but if Google Analytics will work with your website, whereas Facebook's insights work with your Facebook page. So let's get an idea. It's a free tool that gives you a bit of information about how your business page is going. So how's it performing? What's happening on it? Who are the people that are part of your audience? You know, what do they like? What do they do? There's how people are working within your page. So, you know, are they liking? Are they commenters? Are they people who tend to share more of the stuff you're doing? And which of your posts are the best ones? Now, obviously you want to know about that, because if you know which ones are doing the best, you can replicate that same kind of post later on, so you can keep the good times rolling. It also lets you know which ones aren't performing so well, so you can think, well, maybe I'll just put that style of post away for a little while and concentrate on the things that do really make much more sense of what's working right now. And it also helps you see when your audience is the most active on Facebook as well. This is going to be really important, particularly if you're serving places outside of where you are. So you might have a really active time, you know, say Sunday night at 6 p.m, or you may be very, very active at some time, you know, in the late afternoon at 3 p.m. when you get a bit of a break from work. But that may not be where your people who are following your page are most active. So a few things we'll keep in mind as we move through this is that you can only access data in your page insights up to the last 2 years. So then it has to drop out. Now that's to do with privacy restrictions given by governments in various places in the world. So only 2 years. The demographic data, such as your ages, genders, locations, the cities people are in, they're available in your page insights, but only once you've got 100 or more followers of your page. So you do need at least 100 people following your page before you'll get those kind of insights. And pages categorized as a community page. So if you've selected your page originally to be a community page rather than a business page or a local business or a venue, they don't have insights because they're not regarded as something where you can collect information from. So if you've got a community Facebook business page, then you might want to change that over to another version. You can do that within your page settings and then your templates and tabs, and that gives you an opportunity to change it through to a different style of business. It's even worth taking a look in there anyway, just to see if you feel like you're actually on the right version of a Facebook page, whether you're on the version that is right for you. Because if you're not, you could be playing in an area that you don't realize there's a lot more power in your Facebook page than what you've got. So I've got a bit of a video here that I'm going to play for you. It's in Japanese, but don't worry, it has got subtitles. Just swing my microphone around. I haven't done too many of these where I've tried to play a video through Zoom before, so this could be great or it could be a complete and utter disaster. We'll see in just a second. Come on, you can do it. And play.
今主人が見てたらびっくりすると思いますね。稲田美恵子と申します。68歳です。女性オーナーです。鳥取県で寿司屋を50年経営しています。鳥取は日本でも一番人口が少ない都道府県で、人口は減る一方なんです。一人になった時は女性として経営に不安がありました。30年以上来てくれているお客様から Facebook のことについて教えてもらったのが62歳の時でした。思ってもみなかったのは Facebook でお店を見つけましたという人たちが国内各地から最近では海外のお客様も来てくれるようになりました。
よくぞね、鳥取まで Facebook をたどってきてくれるなと思います。さすが Facebook、素晴らしい。
Facebook で知ってきてくださるお客さんのほとんどが息子が担当していると思ってたみたいです。68歳の年配の女性がやっているとは思ってもないでしょうね。こうやって新しいつながりができるのはとっても嬉しいです。今一番楽しいのは仕事が終わってくつろいでる時にお客様からいただいたコメントへ返信することです。Facebook を使ってみたい高齢者のアドバイス、私でも使えるんだったら誰でも使えますよ。
So what you're seeing there is 62-year-old Miyako Inada. She's used the Facebook page to reach new customers and grow a business, where previously she may not have had the ability to be able to reach those people. She posts pretty regularly on a page and she showcases a lot of those seasonal offerings. You would have seen that. It's not just about putting up what the regular stuff is, what the special stuff is that's coming into season. And seafood, just like plants, I guess, have seasons as well, particularly in Japan, where they're using everything from sea urchins through to, particular fish that only come into the region at a particular time of the year. So she's used that strategy to build interest among people who are not regulars to what she already does, people who are new to Sasha Sushi. Either way, featuring that seasonal menu has led people to engage with her a whole lot more, but she wouldn't necessarily know that unless she had to look at her page insights. And the page insights are what give you that particular insight to be able to see what it is you're trying to do. I've just got to get onto the right page here. So as we're looking at accessing our page insights, we're going to take a look at the average Facebook page. Now, bearing in mind that Facebook is going through on the desktop at the moment of updating what the pages look like. So some of you might have the new page layout. Some of you might have the old page layout. We're going to look at the older page layout, which I think a lot of you are still on. If not, it's very, very similar in the new page where you have to go. So in this particular one, to access the page insights tool, you'll click on more and pull it down to insights. Now that's usually in the same spot up towards the top of your page on your Facebook page. Now, bear in mind, this isn't your profile. So we're going into your actual business page. So if your business page was, say, Jasper's Market, then that's the one you would go to. If yours is called Sasha Sushi, that's where you go to find these page insights as well. Now, your page insights might show up on that first row. You may not have to go to more. That's because you're someone who accesses them a lot. As you access the different tools a lot, the position of them will change so that the things that you do the most will come up higher on that list or further along to the left of that menu. So once you've got to that, you'll get access to data about your page and how it's performing and the people who are actually interacting with your page. So that's getting into them. That's fine. Now that you know where to find them, let's have a look at what some of those metrics are that you can take a look at. And you see it's very inspiring page, a few graphs, got a few numbers on it. So let's take a bit of a walk through some of the most commonly used insights. They include metrics like your page activities, what's happening on your page at any time, page discovery, which is how people are finding you, posts, the results of the different posts you've got, and the audience of your Facebook page. So the page activity metrics we'll start with is all about how many people actually follow your page. So these are your followers, really easy to find, really easy to understand. The likes are how many page likes you're getting on a daily basis. So you're talking about the people who are liking your page, not liking your post. This is to do with page likes, not post likes. It gives you an idea of how many new people are coming into you on a daily basis. The actions on page is the number of clicks that are on your page's contact info and the call to action button. So that's how many people may have gone to your, say your About tab on the page, clicked on the phone number, clicked on the link through to your website, or they've clicked on that call to action button at the top. So you may have chosen to put call us, contact us, visit us, one of those different buttons that sits just below the cover photo that allows people to come through to something a bit more informative about who you are and what you're doing. You use the followers section. So over on the left, going that first one down, in the new kind of Facebook, that's a little bit different. The followers tab is also on the left. So the menu's always still remaining on the left, but it may be in a slightly different position. So as you get in there, you see insights about the number of page followers and unfollows over time. It's not going to tell you who unfollowed you. It doesn't quite get that granular, but it will at least tell you who the followers are. You can also see where your page follows actually happened. When it comes to the likes section in your insights, you can see how many likes you're generating each day. So how many people are coming on in, we just touched on that briefly. Anyone interested in your page can like it, and when they do, they come into this metric. So in this case, you might see a page of, wow, they got a million likes on this particular page. You can see that suddenly there was a spike on the 24th of April. So it's then projecting in that sort of hashed area to the right, projecting where those followers and where those new page likes would come in based on the activity that's happened in the last few days, projecting there's going to be quite a big rise before it may take a fall. So page likes also come in kind of handy if you intend to start advertising, because you can run ads that are targeted to your page's followers. So you don't have to advertise just to a big broad audience that doesn't go to quite anyone that you don't really know, or you have to try and define blindly. If you know people who are following your page already like you, then wouldn't it make sense if you can put a great message in front of them with advertising? So that's one of the bigger advantages of cultivating a culture in yourself with Facebook, or trying to get people to like your page, not just so they can receive your posts, but also so they can receive the really, really special stuff that you want to pay to put in front of them. To be able to access people who already like you is really quite powerful. And you can also create what are called lookalike audiences when you go to the advertising part. Those lookalike audiences are based upon people who already like your page. It's not the people who already like it. It's then going and saying, okay, this 3,000 people who already like me, find me another 3,000 who are just like them in another audience. So that way you can target people who are a very, very good chance of already knowing you. That's more in the advertising part of it. And I know that somebody, Renee has got an online workshop coming up who's going to run a bit more on Facebook advertising basics. And we'll be doing one again in September as well. I just heard from Coral, do you need a minimum number of page likes and followers to target page followers? You'd want at least 100 to be able to do that, to give it any sort of numbers that will really give you much power. 1,000 or more is fantastic, but 100 or more, that's really where you need to be to get any sort of meaningful metrics out of that. Great question. Thanks for that, Coral. So as we move on to the like section, you can see in your insight how many likes you're generating each day. Yeah, and page likes also come in pretty handy for, I guess, your starting of advertising. But then we move on to the actions part of it. So I'll just click on this and you'll see where I'm targeting this. Actions on page is in the middle there. This is where you can see the number of times people have clicked to get things like directions to your business, or they've clicked to go to your website, or they clicked on your phone number, or clicked on whatever the action button is that's on your page, your call to action button, how many times it's been clicked on. So that might be useful for you to test out to see, are people who are on Facebook for your business more likely to click on something to call you? Are they more likely to click on how to get to your store if it's a physical store? Or are they more likely to click to go through to your website? So have a big think about that and see how you would rather people contacted you and what they're more likely to do to get in contact with you and deal with your business too. You'll also be able to view a bit of a breakdown of the total unique number of people who have clicked on an action on your page by their demographics. So that's stuff like age and country, city, device type, even whether they're on mobiles, whether they're on desktops, whether what the gender is. So if you want to target down to, what kind of person is more likely to be active on your page, this is where you'll see all that. As you move down, as we scroll down through a live version of this, you'll see the graph at the bottom gets into a lot more detail about devices and cities and genders. So you can see that you might have been marketing yourself specifically to women, but it turns out that men are really, really well engaged with your page, which would be a bit of a shock because you go, wow, did not expect that at all. The discovery metrics, they let you see how many people your posts have reached, the number of people who have viewed your page, and the number of people who have been recommended to go to your page. So repeating that again, they're where you get your reach from all kinds of people. So it can include, people who have reached you through organic ways. So they're people who have been recommended you or who may have just come to you by chance, but also the difference between them and the ones that have paid to get to you. So if you're doing boosted posts or you're doing ads, it'll split that up and give you an option to see either the organic or the paid. So you can see the big difference there. So you can go, okay, I see I'm getting a lot more people coming through and viewing my stuff from having ads. Then you go, well, it's worth doing that. But if you look at it and go, actually, my organic reach is really high, I probably don't need to be running those ads again. Then you don't have to worry about it. Another one is where you can see how many times your page is being viewed. So that's really important if you want to see how many people are coming into your actual Facebook property, not just interacting with a post they may have seen or that someone might have shared to them. They're actually coming into your actual page and having an opportunity to look through the previous things you've done, like videos or like your about section, if you've got that at the top of your Facebook business page. Now we're going to take a bit of a look at both of the discovery metrics. So we'll talk about reach as being one of them. Now the reach section in your insights is where you see a breakdown between the paid and the organic stuff, which we were just talking about, which I was just explaining about the paid stuff or the stuff where people just naturally came to you. Reach is the number of people who have seen any of the content from your page on their screen. So it has to have been from your Facebook page and it's shown up on their screen and it would have been seen in some way. So reach can be generated either through your paid stuff or it can be generated organically. So boosted posts contribute to reach, and posts that are naturally being shared out there, they also contribute to your reach. So for example, I would say if there was a page that I found recently that was just something that I saw someone else comment on that I knew, and it made me want to go and see more about it. And it was a thing called Comicsology. So I'm a bit of a nerd. I liked my comics from when I was young, and I did not know that this particular thing existed. So that's a place where you can go and then buy comics online. So I looked at that and go, okay, that's great. me coming into that page would be regarded as an organic reach because I saw it as something that someone had posted who was a friend of mine. If I had seen an ad and for Comixology and I had gone in there to see that particular page, then that would have been measured as paid activity. So in the graph on here, you can see there's like quite up and down. The organic seems to be where it is because they're not actually doing any paid ads just at this moment, or at least in that timeline. Just look at the top two where it says the daily data recorded in Pacific time zone. You can actually start where you want to measure from. So if you just want to measure things the last 30 days, then just use your date picker and that will be able to pick out the last 30 days. If you want to go a bit beyond that, you can. If you just want to see last week's, then just select from the calendar there where last week's dates were. Here you can see how many people liked and commented or shared on any of the content, letting you know which is the content which seems to be generating more positive kind of engagement. What's the stuff that seems to be getting people in there and talking about it? Alternatively, you'll also see who's hiding or reporting your content. You won't see exactly who that person is. You'll just see where it's happening. That can help you understand if any of that stuff you've been putting out there is really turning people off. If you're coming across maybe to people as a little bit too spammy, that's where you'll find out about that one. Using the page views section, you can see a number of times your page was viewed. If you see your page views, excuse me, I'm starting to get a froggy throat. If you happen to see that your page views aren't really showing very much movement, it's probably a good sign you might need to create a bit more conversation with your followers. So if we're saying that total views is sort of spiking on the days where you happen to be interacting with people and having conversations and commenting on their comments, but you see that then on the days where it just completely drops again, are maybe the days where you're not doing that so much. So it's a pretty good sign if you're up and down like that. To look at the things that happen on the days when you've got those good page views to what things you actually did. And that will be a really good indicator of saying, okay, that's what seems to get people talking. I need to do more of what I did on that particular day. It's where you can also check out where people are coming from externally. That tells you like the number of times that people came to your page from, say, a website that's outside of Facebook. So not necessarily from other Facebook pages or from with a feed in Facebook, but then coming out to where they may have been referred through to a link that was made from a website. It could have been your website. It could be a partner business's website, any of that kind of thing. The posts and audience insights tab, that helps because we kind of know a bit more about how to get those insights and how a page is going. But the posts and insights tab on a mobile device will help you find these metrics under posts and audience sections. If you're on a desktop though, it'll be audience insights. They'll be under the people section. So on desktop, it's under people. On the mobile device, it'll be under posts and audience sections. So I'm just going to click to show you that. This shows you which posts have been generating the most reach and engagement. This is probably the area that people who use the insights a lot on Facebook pages go to the most, because this is where the best information is as far as what stuff works best and what stuff doesn't. You might find that you put in a video last week and nobody seemed to use it, but then you did this written post just in text and it got a massive response. This is where you'll be able to see a pattern over time of what are the things that seem to be really, really gelling with your audience. What are the things that got 5 likes instead of 2 or got 23 shares instead of none. So you'll be able to look at things like your post insights, your audience insights, and that lets you see the information that's more related to the people who have interacted with your page and your content. So not the things that did best, it's telling you who are the people who seem to be doing the best with you. So who are you reaching that seems to be really resonating with what it is you're doing rather than just the posts that are doing well. And that's really important because, as we said before, you may have been targeting women between the age of 25 and 39, only to discover that it was men of 45 plus who seem to be the ones that were resonating the best with what you're doing. So it may mean, wow, if I'm resonating with that audience, I didn't even know that. Imagine what I could do if I actually did some content that was specifically targeted at them. So as we go into the posts section, we're looking at all the information about the posts that you've published to your page. So it's showing us, what the reach has been over particular days, what the interaction's been. So you can see on Monday, 82,000. Pretty consistent here. There was a bit of a drop though. In Tuesday, they had several hundred less people going and visiting. But down the bottom, this is where you can see a list of your posts. So you can see the reach that was gained from just, organic and paid stuff, but you can see then what the engagement was. So if you've got 2,500 people reaching, your engagement was 898 people who were from just clicking on the post, or you got people who are commenting and sharing and actually reacting and putting a like on there of 115, then you kind of know what it is in comparison to all those other posts that things that are doing the best. This is really quite fun because you can go back through, if you've got enough history on your page, you can go back through months of this stuff and see, wow, I know where things really did well. And, oh, wow, I know where things really didn't do so well as well. It helps you make some better decisions about the kind of posts you're doing. You'll see all sorts of engagement metrics that can help you understand those types of posts as well that generate the most likes and shares. So is it a video? Is it just an image? Is it the written text stuff that you're doing? What exactly it is that is having the biggest impact in your audience and giving you the best bang for your buck if you're doing paid stuff, but also the best bang for your buck if you're not paying for your audience as well. If you're paying for ads, just doing organic stuff, it lets you know where your effort needs to go. If you're putting hours into creating videos that nobody's ever seen and no one seems to really react to, then you may be better off putting your time into something that is more, well, probably a lot less labor intensive and perhaps a little bit more appealing to your audience according to the data. This is where I guess a lot of the social media gurus become unstuck. They tend to follow a lot of trends. They go, do live video. Everyone's watching live video. Do the live video. And you do live video for 3 months and you find you've really only got 2 people that sort of log in and see you any 2 days, and that's your mum and your auntie. Then doing that live video probably feels like a bit of a waste of time when you've been posting quotes on your page and they've been getting a lot more reaction to them. So this is where you go in and you see the real deal about what's really working best for you as opposed to what the gurus are saying you should do. And there's many, many gurus with many, many opinions. Another metric you'll get is when your fans are online. So when people are actually engaging with you and doing stuff that's on your Facebook page. So whether they're going and if they're in a particular same time zone as you, it'll look at what time of the day, whether it's say 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock, maybe even 9 o'clock at night. If there's a peak around midnight, it'll tell you where people are at and where they're really most engaging with what you're doing on your page. There's lots of people who will tell you, oh yeah, you do this at 6 p.m. on a Sunday night. Oh yeah, you'll definitely get people at 11 a.m. on a weekday morning. Don't bother with Mondays. That sort of stuff is going to depend on too many things. So if a guru tells you what they believe in their opinion is the best time to be posting stuff, it's probably based on their own page and their own experience, not based upon what your business will do. So if your business may be something that appeals to people, particularly on Sunday nights, you'll see this in your data. So what you need to do is follow the data, follow where the graph is telling you that the most engagement's happening. And that can give you an idea of when you might be quite useful for you to be posting out to. In the case of this graph, you definitely didn't want to be posting out at around about 4:30, 5 p.m. because it doesn't look like there's many people who are actually online and interacting with this particular page at that time. But at 9 a.m. in the morning, they seem to have a massive peak and another one at around about 11 p.m. at night. Now that may completely seem topsy-turvy to you, but you've got to consider time zones. If most of your fans and most of your interaction is coming from people who are on the East Coast in daylight saving time, so you're talking like New South Wales, Victoria, and Tasmania, then your time's going to be slightly out. If you're in somewhere like Western Australia, where normally you're only a couple of hours behind, but any other time of the year, you could be like 3 hours behind. So it's a very different set of circumstances. And if you're across multiple time zones as well, you may see little peaks that sort of, they stick around for a few hours. Or you might see that if you're targeting people accidentally and don't even realize you're doing it, who are in America or in Europe, well then, then you're going to have a whole lot of different people there. I'm just going to ignore that particular message that came up on the screen about when particular people are harassing you from other countries. The moving on to your post types, this is where you're showing the overall average reach and engagement for certain types of posts, like the posts with images and videos. This is where you're going to be able to tell whether you're wasting your time by putting a lot of energy in the video if people are just not watching it. You'll be able to see very, very clearly what the reach, which is the first thing you want to look for, and then the engagement as well for those certain types of posts. In the top posts from pages you watch, this is an interesting one because this is where you can actually look at other pages. You can monitor your competitors. So if you were a jewelry store and you're in the CBD of Perth, you can then put in the Facebook pages of other jewelry stores that are in Perth as well. So you can add their pages and monitor the kind of stuff that's going on there. So it'll show you their posts and tell you, what your performance is like against the performance of posts with similar pages. So it's not going to give you like a whole lot of very in-depth information about them because that would be a breach of their privacy. It just gives you sort of estimates. It'll tell you that, you seem to have reached this many people. This is not performing as well as, say, a post of a similar theme that happened from one of your competitors. So this is a really interesting place where you get to see a little bit more of what your competitors are doing. I really recommend you doing it because, and don't just pick out the people who are direct competitors to yours. Look at the people who are the absolute best in your field. If you're an online coach and you're coaching people on lifestyle and mindset and all that sort of thing, then look for the best in the business and monitor what they're doing, because then you're giving yourself a really good look at the very best in the business, not just the other local competitors you have. If you're a bakery in Leederville in Perth, you wouldn't necessarily want to compare yourself with a bakery that's in the suburbs of Darwin. You may probably want to just do, okay, maybe look at bakeries in suburbs that are like yours in Perth. Then you can sort of see what they're doing. But if you want to monitor the very best bakeries in the world, by all means, go to the very best ones in America and Europe and follow them as well. You get to follow quite a few. So have a look at them, see which ones work out best for you, and let that sort of be a bit of a guide about how some of the best in business are doing. And then when we look at people, this is when we're starting to split up, where the people are from and the gender mix as well. So that 45 to 54 age range is the most dominant group on this particular page. And in this case, they're mostly in the USA, but there's a few in Australia and other countries as well. So yours may look very, very different to this. A lot of my clients, they seem to be peaking at around about that 25 to 34 and then 35 to 44, and then starting to sort of drop off a bit from that 45 to 54. Yours may look completely and utterly different. In the case of the people who are my fans on one of my business pages, in one case, because it's targeted at a particular country in Asia, then I've got a disproportionate amount of people from that particular country as fans of that page. But then I get another business page where I'm specifically targeting at Darwin. Then my fans are overwhelmingly from the greater Darwin region. And then you'll find the same as if you're on the Gold Coast, whether you're in Gladstone or you're in Rockhampton, that you'll find that things you're doing are generally, if you're a local business, geared towards your local area, and most of the people will be down as coming from Australia and then your local area. Just be aware of the city thing though. Those are not always particularly accurate. So when you've got the city showing as, say, for instance, Adelaide, but you're in Darwin, chances are it's because your internet provider is giving an IP address range that appears to be from Adelaide. So for regional areas, sometimes this is a bit wonky. If you're in Toowoomba, it won't always come up as Toowoomba, it'll come up as Brisbane. If you're in Townsville, you may not always come up as Townsville, you may still come up as Brisbane. In Perth, if you say in Busselton, you may not come up as Busselton, but you'll come up as Perth. And likewise in something like Geraldton, doesn't always show up as being Geraldton, will show up as being Perth as well. So just be aware that that's not, it's not like the 10 commandments in there. The city will show the city that it believes that your network connection is coming from. So it may not be 100% accurate. And then when we look at your fans, we're looking at you'll find a lot more demographic information on them as well. So you've got the age, gender, location, all that stuff, but also the language. Now, if you're dealing with stuff in other countries, if you're selling stuff on an e-commerce site that's going to other countries, then you're going to see, you know, the dominant language that they interact on Facebook with. So looking at something like China, for instance, you're not going to get much out of that because all the Chinese data is going to come out of Hong Kong. And Hong Kong, even though it's still majority Cantonese and Mandarin, there's still a lot of people who interact on Facebook and with their business stuff through the English language. Likewise, you might see some differences in somewhere like here in Australia, where we've got the English US showing up more than English UK. And there is actually a version of Facebook languages called English AU that very, very few Australian pages are actually set up to be as. So don't be dismayed if you're seeing that people are coming from Sydney, but they're speaking English US. That's just the way they set up their Facebook when they first got it, you know, 7-10 years ago. So your followers then, if we continue those, we can see the people who follow your page. So these are the people who aren't necessarily people who just liked your page. These are the people who choose to follow your page. So they may not have clicked like, they've clicked follow for your page. Now, two very different things, but they're kind of related. A like one shows up as a like that you can measure and send ads to and all that sort of thing. And they've actually made it so it can be seen that they have actually liked your page. Some people don't necessarily want to mark that they like your page. They just want to follow your content. So they're a bit more secretive. You'll generally find they're the same kind of people, the same demographics. There's not going to be a great deal of difference in there, but it is an estimate. So some people have got privacy features which tell them that they don't want to share that information with the pages they're following. That's fine. You'll see an overall number of people who follow you, but you may not get all the complete detail, the kind of people you follow you. Now, don't worry about it too much because there's very few people who follow and don't like. So it's one of those things that most people don't even realize they can do it. If we get to the people reach, that's when we start to see the people who didn't just have, you know, they don't just follow you, but they've actually been reached in some way by your posts, whether it's directly because they follow your page, or it's because someone shared something that was from your page with their audience. And this is where you can get some massive, massive big discrepancies when you're going, holy crap, I've only got 2,000 followers. How did this reach 2.5 million people? And that's because of the viral aspect of something like Facebook or Instagram, is that something can be shared that has a particular, you know, appeal to it, and that's shared through enough people that then that reach goes a heck of a lot further. So this is why you might see that, you know, despite you only having maybe 150 people who actually follow you, that you may have had reach go into the thousands. That's because the people who have followed you either shared your material or they have, you know, liked it and it's shown up, and they've seen, and other people who follow them have seen that like, or they've seen that comment you may have done as well. So that's how networks like Facebook and LinkedIn and all that can get to a lot further people than are actually actively following you, just simply because they're connected to other people who do follow you. So hopefully that one kind of lands and makes a bit of sense. We're looking at people engaged. These are the people who actually did something with those posts. So they've seen your posts and they've actually done something with it. They've clicked on it, they've liked it, they've done the love heart, they've done the care, they've shared it with other people or commented on it as well. These are the ones who have taken time to actually do something with your stuff. So this is generally going to be a lot less than the number of people who are reached. Now, depending upon what your objective is that you want to get out of this, so if you want to get people interacting with your stuff so that more people will see it, then the engagement numbers are going to be really important for you because they are directly proportionate to the amount of influence you have beyond your normal followers. So getting more people to engage gets that more visibility beyond just people who follow you directly. So yeah, engagement is one of those really, that to me is a lot more of a metric that I would, as a business owner, want to know more about than just simply, you know, how many people like me, how many people follow me, and how many people were reached. I want to see how many people engaged, because those people are a lot more active when it comes to my business than those who just quite simply, you know, saw it and moved on. So we're going to look at these guys called Striper, Sniper, Tackle, and they are a local business that use Facebook page and page insights to increase their sales. So they're an online fishing tackle business that they use their Facebook page to reach a target demographic they were really after. They hire brand ambassadors and increase sales. So hiring brand ambassadors is things like influencers, if you want to look at it like that. They increase sales. They found that 75% of the shop's sales can be attributed to Facebook, which has been really good for them. So they want to make sure they keep that sort of stuff going. Fueled by a love of sport fishing, Troy, who's the guy who runs it, Troy Robertson, he started the fishing guide service in 2003 as a bit of a side gig while as an officer on the police force in a place called Pittsburgh in North Carolina. After a major fish die-off in 2010 slowed things right down, and we've certainly had some of those around Australia too, Troy started making the tackle and selling it online. Now he's it's more successful than his guide business. The tackle shop is actually bringing in the majority of what he's doing now. And I think you're going to find that some tackle shops, particularly in Australia, who've done quite much the same thing. They're a tackle shop that's attached to a charter service, and that charter service may have died a little bit, but local fishing people have gone out and bought that tackle. They've gone out and bought those lures. They've gone out and bought the rods. They've gone out and bought, the reels and the Shimano, reels and the line, and they've bought all the stuff they need to go and do it themselves. So in a time like this, particularly when you're looking at no real tourists coming through, it's going to be your locals who will help bring that through. Now, locals are far less likely to go on an expensive fishing charter, but they're more likely to go into a fishing tackle shop and buy lures and line and reels. And sport fishing, look, it's niche. Not everyone's into sport fishing. Not everyone wants to catch a marlin. But Troy used his page insights to better identify who and where his target customers were by going in there to your page engagement levels by the different states. So remember, he's not a shop that's selling fishing tackle directly out of a front door. This is an online store. So he used his insights to find out where these people were coming from, and then it made him sense to invest a bit more into advertising and making content that was about those areas where people were coming from. So that was an example about someone who was able to increase the amount of sales they were getting out of Facebook simply because they used their page insights to do it. Whether or not he actually used that information to build ads, whether he used it to make content, say for instance, if he found that Northern Florida was where most of his business was coming from, or let's bring it closer to home, if we had a fishing tackle shop that was based out of the Sunshine Coast, then you'd be going, okay, I'm seeing an interesting trend here of people in the south coast of New South Wales buying my fishing tackle. It would make sense for you then to not concentrate too much on making more videos on the Sunshine Coast, but making some content that really hones in to this massive following you seem to have around Moruya and Tathra and Bega and Eden. So yeah, you can get a lot of information out there that's really going to help you make some better decisions about the kind of content you're going to produce. Now you can pick up this information as well on the Facebook Pages Manager app. So this is a really good place for you to get this on the go. So you don't have as much detail as you do on your Facebook insights that are through your page on the desktop, but it gives you really good on the flow stuff. So you can see that where your post reach is going. You can still see where your best posts are. You can still see what the engagement rates are and which things are getting the most engagement and which are not. So I really recommend you get this one on your phone because it then locks into not just the one, like if you've got multiple pages that you're managing, this will give you those insights and that information across all of them. So yeah, grab the Facebook Pages Manager app and get that on there. And if you're someone who doesn't actually like dealing with the Facebook app, the big blue one, you can get rid of the blue one and just run this one to run your business. And then you get all those different distractions about the big blue Facebook app out of there if that's what you want to work with. I've got several clients who just do not want to deal with the blue app because they find it distracting, but they're happy to use this one because this one gives them the information and the alerts from the actual pages that they need to know about. And it, it feels like it walks around with them. So we're going to look at a few tips and best practices that will help you along with learning more about how you can get your best out of your page insights and the type of metrics that you can get from the tool. So let's look at some of those. Whether you're posting photos or maybe running a new ad, the insights provided in your page can help you make a pretty well-informed future decision about the posts and ads that will best help you reach people. If I put that in the most simple language as possible, the information in your insights is going to tell you what sucks and what doesn't suck. So do more of the stuff that doesn't suck and do a little less of the stuff that does. And don't be too precious about it, I guess. Just remember, this is just the data. This is just what the audience is coming back to you with. So use that as a gift rather than as criticism. If they're not reacting to the stuff that you think is so important to you, then don't be personally offended by it. It just means that there's other stuff that they like more that you're already doing. So double down on that stuff rather than sort of taking offense on the stuff they don't like. Your page insights are also most valuable when you have a very active page. You don't have to run ads to see your insights, but you should be posting often enough that you've got material that people can interact with. So you've got enough posts on there that will drive enough engagement so that the algorithm can learn a lot more about the people engaging with your page. The more posts, the more opportunities people have to see your stuff, which means the more data you're going to have about that stuff. So it doesn't mean you have to post 3, 4, 5 times a day. You don't have to go stupid with it. By saying active, we think, post more than once a month, that'd be great because it gives you a lot more data points about what's happening. And then test it. Post something on one day at 9 a.m., post something the next day at 12 p.m., and then build a pattern around, build enough coverage across different times of the day and different days of the week that you're able to then see what stuff is working well. Now, it may take you 3, 4, 5, 6 months to get enough data to make some big decisions on, but you start today and that's a little bit closer tomorrow. So how can you use all these metrics to grow your business and reach those particular goals you've got when you came in here and started up a page? Well, there's a few more tips and best practices to help you out. Let's have a look at some of those. You can use your audience insights to understand what content, yes, we've said this, resonates with your audience. That makes a lot of sense. By understanding which groups of people enjoy the content on your page the most, we understand, whether you're going for a younger or an older demographic. Do more women like what you're doing rather than men? Are you seeing more people on the East Coast or in the West Coast? You can use this information to target audiences if you found that things need to get to a bigger audience. So instead of just going broadly and saying, send my ad out to everybody if you're going to do an ad, you can make better decisions about the kind of people who already like you and say, hey, if people who are women between 35 and 55 are my majority of the people who are interacting with and loving my stuff now for free, then it makes sense that I want to reach more of those. So instead of targeting a broad ad that goes out to hundreds of thousands of people, narrow it down to women between 35 and 55 who match what your current followers are like. And you get that out of your post insights about what those people are, your audience insights about what those people are. You can also use post insights to know when your followers have the time to engage with your business. This is really important because if you're finding that you really do have that up and down, you find that people are just not engaging with you at all during business hours, but after hours, that's when they all seem to rush in. Well, then that tells you that you're probably better off posting stuff in those after hours times if that's where people seem to be engaging the most with you. But you don't want to ignore the people at the other end either. So you might want to go, well, if I'm seeing a peak at 10 a.m. and another peak at 7 p.m., post at 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. If you find that changes over time and people seem to creep more to the 9 p.m. and a bit earlier in the morning at 6 a.m., well, then change your post to look at that too. Always just keep looking at your insights to make sure you're getting what the new patterns are. We had something like 3 or 4 extra million people in Australia during COVID-19 come onto the Facebook platform. So that's telling us that things change rather fast. You don't have that many extra people come into a platform without it changing the patterns of how people work. And we're finding a lot more people are starting to access Facebook and Instagram and Messenger across the workday because so many people have been working from home. Can you imagine how easily distracted people who are working from home in Melbourne are right now? They can't leave their houses. Their business, they usually go to work, is not the same as what it was. They can't work in that place anymore. All those old distractions of coffee break talk and all that have now become the laundry, making the bed, cleaning up the floor, picking up the kids from school when normally the kids got dropped off by the bus. All the things that change. So make sure that you are checking on your audience and your insights to make sure you're aware of any changes that are going on with them as well. Another best practice is to identify how your audience engages with your page. So look for the trends where positive engagement's happening. Learn which are the posts that people love to click like on. The more likes and the shares and the comments you see on a post, that is something you can go confidently saying that you can produce more content that does that. The same stuff that they're reacting really well to, do more of that. Take notice of the posts that perform particularly well, the standout ones. What's the common thread amongst all the stuff that your audience like? Is it video? Is it catchy text? Is it text on video? Is it, you know, anything of dogs being rescued? Is it stuff that's about you and your staff, or is it personal stories? Whatever it is that you find the pattern in, just narrow down and do more of that stuff as well. You should also look for trends of negative engagement too. So you want to see the stuff that isn't working, so you allow yourself to make some edits along the way. So if you find that you're doing a lot of stuff which is quotes and they're like inspirational quotes, and they're just getting no reaction at all, change up the style of those quotes, or change the content of those quotes, or maybe even remove quotes altogether from the equation and then add something else here instead. Always be testing and trying something new. And that's the rule of social media all over, of any kind of digital marketing. Test, test, test. What works, do more. What doesn't work, do less. That way you're always doing something that works. There's no magic formula that says do this and this will happen. It's going to be different for every business and every different audience in every different part of the world, because people are different and they react different ways to different things and to different things. That's what we call testing and iterating. It's making an informed decision about what content that's working best in your page. So you're not just going, I think this is pretty, I'm going to try that. You're going to make decisions not about opinion, you're going to make decisions about what your audience is actually working with. So you're not trying to squeeze them into a box or a square peg into a round hole. You're actually producing the stuff that they already seem to like. So you're doing what they like, not necessarily all the time what you like. If you can find that sweet spot where you are doing stuff that they like and you like, that's the magic part. That's going to make it easier for you to wake up in the morning and keep working on your business. You can use the page activity metrics to change your page content, and then encourage people to take those actions that you really want them to take. So if you want them to click through to your website, you can use the page activity monitor to see, okay, people are clicking through to my website. I want more of that. So what have I got to do that's going to encourage people to do that? Do I insert a link into my posts? Do I change the call to action button on my page from phone numbers to website clicks? Or do I want to get more people coming to my in-person store, to my workshop, to my shop? Well, then I'll get direction links. I want to have more of those on there. I want to attach more of those to my posts. So follow those directions in page activity to see what are the areas that you get the most value from. The page button clicks of 179 in this particular one for Jasper's Boutique is telling you that there's a lot of people who are clicking on something to do with whatever's on that page button. So that page button is the one, the call to action button that sits just underneath your cover photo on your Facebook page. You'll be able to then see, okay, 179 of those are happening. What are they based off? Well, whatever that button is that you've got, that's the one they're clicking on the most. Then you can then go, well, there's something about that button that seems to be very active with people. They seem to find that and use it. You can use your discovery metrics to see how many people are viewing your page and what particular sections they're looking at. So you can use this info to target, all your different audiences with boosted posts or ads, or you can tailor your content to their interests. We're starting to see that people are coming through, things that, how people are coming from, say, for instance, other pages. We can go, hey, maybe it's time to collaborate with that page and do a little bit of work with them so we can continue to get that positive flow of people through to our page. Or you go, if people are going, through, they're coming from websites, what websites are they coming from before they find you, and how are they being recommended to come through there? That will help you craft an approach that you may want to go to that website and go, hey, thank you for sending all this traffic my way. What can I do to help promote you? Or what can I do to keep that going? Your audience insights helps you to understand who your audience is through this particular page on the app. So you can use demographic data such as your ages, your genders, your location, along when people are looking at your page and how they found it to help you to tailor those future posts. So the more information you have, the more information you have to apply to getting better posts out of your own self. So half the time, working out great posts isn't about being hugely creative. Isn't it about who uses Canva the best? It's about who can actually read what's working on their page and be able to turn that into something that appeals to those people and producing it again and again and again. Your post insights inside the app can also help you to analyze which of your posts are going to work best with your audience. So this tells you really simply what's working and what's not. You know, if you've got 898 engagements on a post, that's fantastic. Do more of that. That's a shop by the store today and get. So that would have been an offer. The Jasper Boutique updated their address. May not have got as much, but it was still a really good reach. So you can say, well, people are really, really interacting well with this page. Here's the most engaged things we do. Well, let's just do more of that. So your key takeaways from today are all about gaining deeper insights about your audience by using your demographic data when optimizing your page and what you're doing on your page. So use your data to really inform the kind of stuff you should be building. You'll understand how people are engaging with your page through page insights as well. So that makes you able to understand how people are using your page and using your posts, therefore giving you more data to be able to design better and more frequent posts. You can also identify which of your posts are gaining the most engagement from your audience. That's going to be an important one because, yeah, do more of the things that work, do less of the things that don't work. And you'll also see when your audience is the most active online so you can schedule your future posts in those best times. Just beware, don't take it from a couple of weeks of data. Make sure you get that data over, at least 3 months, because you don't want to say like, okay, in winter, people are in bed earlier, or in summer, people are in bed later. You don't want to just get one particular little amount of time, say 2 weeks, and base your entire approach off that. Look at it over 3, 6, even 12 months if you can, to see what the patterns are that are emerging over that long. Because over an average, the difference between 6 and 6:30 is not going to be as great unless you hit daylight saving in those states that have it, where you go, okay, well, 6 suddenly becomes 7:30 or becomes, 4:30, depending on where you are in the country. So to close, I want to say thank you so much for your time. You can learn more about this stuff in a self-paced course at facebook.com/blueprint. This is basically the place to go to learn all the stuff you need to know as a business on Facebook, whether it's more engaging posts for your page or doing ads for your page, or it could be, how to use groups to grow groups and how to, do these particular kinds of posts, how to do better things with your mobile phone to produce better posts. All this is available for free at facebook.com/blueprint. I really thoroughly encourage you to go and have a look at that. Most of the courses are only between 2 and 8 minutes long, and there's hundreds of them. So you can just search in there for the particular thing you want to try to do, and that will guide you through how to do it. So thank you again. I really appreciate you spending some time with me this afternoon. We'll have more of these coming up in the next months as well, particularly next month in September. We're looking at Facebook advertising and doing a few different series along that. Thank you to Business Station, Treaty Business Consulting and RDA Brisbane for helping us out with all this. This particular presentation has also been recorded and will be on Business Station's YouTube channel. So if you go to youtube.com, type in Business Station, subscribe to that channel because there's a whole lot of the previous stuff I've done and there'll be the future stuff as well. I really hope that's kind of undone a little bit of the mystery around what Facebook page insights are. So please have a great afternoon and great evening. And I hope to see you very soon back here with Business Station and the C19 Biz Booster series. Thank you and good night.